part by the all-new Hyundai Veracruz.
Companies spend billions of dollars each year on surveys and focus groups, all trying to decipher what makes consumers tick. Well, now there's a new tool at their disposal. It's based on brain science that decodes facial expressions to find out what people really think. The man behind the method is Dan Hill, president of Sensory Logic. Thanks for joining us.
Sure, by all means.
Let's first talk about the science at play here. I mean, this isn't soft. This is actual sort of scientific observation of various facial muscles, yes?
That's exactly true. Charles Darwin realized that in your face you reflect and communicate your emotions, so much so that even a person born blind has the same facial expressions as you or I. It's hardwired into the brain.
Now, the applications could be broad of this type of research. Give us some examples of business applications.
We look at people's response to TV commercials. You know, during a real exposure 30-second spot, when do they light up? When do they turn off? Are those emotions the company's trying to invoke and at the right time?
And in terms of the ways that it can be used, I mean, it turns out, I guess, that people do lie, or maybe they don't even know they're lying, but what comes out of our mouths is filtered by our brains, which is filtered by our experience. It's a more direct route to what we really feel about something when we're looking at the facial reaction.
Sure, action speaks louder than words. The estimation is 20% of the adults in the Western world are functionally illiterate, so they may not be able to articulate their reactions. Also, most of our thought activity is actually subconscious, so those intuitive reactions that really can drive purchases in the grocery store, your reactions to a print ad, being online, all of those things you need to tap into emotionally.
I want to ask you how you code the information. Psychologists in so many different areas have found a way to categorize seemingly uncategorizable things. Give us an example of how that works in your field.
We work from video footage typically taken from a webcam. We review it down to potentially 1/30th of a second. We use a system from Dr. Paul Ekman, who is a retired professor at the University of California, San Francisco. Paul developed a system that's frankly used also by the CIA and the FBI. It is 23 key muscles or action units in the face that correspond to 7 core emotions that go across cultures. We really are following his template, but doing the work very carefully.
So people have written many books on the subject of sort of the emotional attachment that we may feel toward a brand. Does this bypass that? This tells you by looking at somebody's face their emotional reaction to something?
Yeah, it's a chance to tap in. The face is the only place in the body where the muscles attach right to the skin. It is very quick, very spontaneous. Even in Japan, where people may tend to repress their emotional displays, you can pick up their subtle loyalty or disloyalty to a brand concept, a response to a leader, all sorts of applications.
Let's talk about some of the pictures that you've given us, because it's I think using examples here will probably be helpful. Let's talk U.S. politicians first of all. Hillary Clinton. What can we learn by looking at the photo that we have here of her face, her facial expression?
Well, Hillary's biggest problem, I think everyone agrees she's a very smart woman, but is she affable enough to win people over? What Hillary tends to show is real determination and some anger. She has more social smiles than she has genuine smiles. A genuine smile, you're relaxing, and the muscle around the eye tends to relax. She doesn't show a lot of those, many more social smiles.
Major competitor in a race for the Democratic nomination, Obama. What would you say it could be inferred from photographs of him?
We've gone through Obama. He is by far the most hopeful candidate in the race. A lot more true smiles. His book is called The Audacity of Hope, and he's a hopeful guy.
So we're looking at his face. It's a very genuine smile. I mean, in terms of what he's conveying, this isn't really something that these folks can control, right? This is all spontaneous.
Especially around the eyes, you have almost no ability to control your reaction. That's why we say the eyes are the window to the soul. The social smile is around the mouth. The true smile is around the eyes.
I want to bring in a photo of hockey great Wayne Gretzky. This facial expression is notable. It's probably why it got so much play in the media that it did at the time. What does it tell you?
Well, I think Wayne Gretzky was obviously a great player. He has high standards. I don't think he was very happy with what he was seeing on the ice that day.
Right.
It is extreme anger and a lot of disgust, frankly. His nose is wrinkled. His upper lip is pulled back. He's just seething with rage with what he sees from his players.
There's one example that you've given us that I think is kind of interesting. Paris Hilton, you don't get a lot out of her. Tell me what that's about.
Yeah, Paris Hilton is pretty close to a moon face. I was watching on CNN with Larry King. When he got to the question about, has this really changed you, I did, by going back very slowly through the videotape, see that she had a disgust reaction. I don't know if that was to the question or to her own answer, which she maybe didn't really believe.
Now that we've got some examples on the table, what can you tell us about men versus women in terms of what their faces say?
Well, women tend to be, I think, a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more engaged. They show more on their face. But they are actually, when we test them for advertising or product design responses, women are actually tougher shoppers. They are more judicious. They actually have less positive activity on their face than guys do.
Is this a tool that can be used to develop products? I mean, is this a tool that companies could use in earlier stages to get real reactions from focus groups?
Oh, sure. We're about to do that for a major manufacturer. They want to know how this new product's going to play with people. And so what's the first look in the store, and then how does it respond when they start to use the product? Absolutely.
How do you scale this particular type of research? We know within the marketing world that quantitative research can be scaled. You can bring in a couple hundred people, get their reactions to commercial advertising, and there are many other different ways that make things cost-effective for companies. Is there a way to scale this type of research, or is it always going to be low sample size and pretty high-end?
No, two things. One is there are about 14 million households in America, for instance, that have webcams. That technology becoming much more common. It's going to allow for internet testing. I frankly think with iPhones and everything else that's happening, we're eventually going to be able to run the test just off people's handheld devices. As to being able to code more quickly, we signed a deal with a company in the U.S. that is automating facial coding, and we expect to have this fully ready to roll within 3 years or less.
Dan, how does this skill that you have developed affect your personal relationships? In some way, you have Superman powers. You can see right through people. Does it affect your everyday?
It certainly does. I read the newspaper more slowly. I take a lot of interest in what I see on the air. In meetings, quite often about 5 minutes into the meeting when they realize what I can do, they say, do you mind if I turn my chair away from you for the rest of the meeting? That kind of thing, yes.
I guess we should be glad you're not here in studio with us, Dan.
I'm afraid so.
All right, Dan Hill, appreciate you joining us.
We're both smiling warmly, though, Dan. Don't worry.
Well, you can go look at the tape. You can find out for yourself. Dan Hill is president of Sensory Logic. Thanks for being here. And we do want to know what you think about this or anything else you see on the show. You can get us by email at squeezeplay@bnn.ca. Well, it sounds too good to be true. A pill that could be a silver bullet cure for alcoholics. But it's on the market right now. Stay with us.